So palliative care is not only end-of-life care, it involves a lot of symptom management. Symptoms like pain management, chronic pain management, and some might have difficulty in breathing, some have constant nausea. I have experienced some on palliative care for 2 years, some on months. So any symptom management, it's related to chronic terminal illness or illness. So symptom management can start whenever they have the symptom and whenever they have indication. As long as we can control the symptoms and we can give the emotional support, at the same time psychological support, spiritual support. Sometimes palliative team has all the multidisciplinary team. We have pharmacists, we have nurses, we have social worker, pastoral care, religious person. So yeah, there is no timeline cut off, so we can start as long there are symptoms and we can start.
The process was he got quite sick and all of a sudden he couldn't walk, so we had to take him. He went to emergency hospital, and he had a lot of swelling, which meant that that's why he couldn't walk. So he just deteriorated really suddenly, and so he was put into the hospital ward. At one point, they were talking about, you'll need a family meeting because, to work out what's going to happen next, where he goes, And I'm like, well, I want him to go upstairs because where he was at this particular beautiful hospital, they had upstairs was palliative, right? And as someone said to me, and I'll never forget this, we had a really amazing brain support OT. And she was our advocate, and she kind of got it sorted for us that we did move up to palliative.
I felt totally privileged for the second time in my life. I nursed my father at home on the farm, and that was a privilege to look after my dad. And Big Bo gave me personally that privilege again. It ticked off a box that's a great way to end my nursing career, really, to have been there for him. An incredibly fulfilling feel. We had the freedom by being in the house, in the home, to be able to do it any way Bo wanted or we wanted to do it for him. But we just basically did what he wanted.
Once he realised that there was no way back, he never mentioned it. He never said, gee.
He never mentioned,
never once,
me.
Poor
Never
me.
said,
He just enjoyed every single day.
yes.
Our company, his food, loved his food. He was a very good cook. So when he could cook and stand up, he cooked and stood up.
That was
When he
only in the
couldn't-
beginning. He had no appetite at the end, but he still
Yeah.
desired the food, which is we still.
We were rolling up smoked salmon and cream cheese and hand feeding him oysters and stuff. But
Yeah, anything he wanted, we tried to give him. And in a hospice or anywhere, you can't just live your life how you've lived, in a rock and roll world sort of thing. So we didn't care. We just allowed him to do whatever he wanted to do to keep him comfortable.
The time we had at home with my son was extraordinary. And so looking back, of course you don't do it alone. It was actually having a palliative care team around us, gave us the right advice, helped set up the appropriate equipment, and they were always a phone call away. As a family, we were doing a lot of the day-to-day care of my son, and then there were certain functions obviously we couldn't perform and that a registered nurse has to come in and do. I think palliative care allowed us to create an incredible environment in our own home for my son, which allowed him to end his journey he was held in every physical, emotional level you can think of. And I think looking back, I know that level of comfort didn't just help my son, I think it helped us all individually. And I think it possibly helped our family emotionally and mentally afterwards, making sense of the death and then recovering, that slow recovery from grief and trauma. I would often hear people say, I don't know how you can do it. You're so brave. And yet as parents, it was the first thing we thought of. It's the first thing there was no question. But we didn't know whether we could do it. We just knew we wanted to do it. And because palliative care put no barriers in the way, they allowed us to make those decisions, and they gave us support, and they discussed the equipment that we might need, and we were able to do what we did because we had the support of palliative care behind us. So it is more than just somebody coming to the door and delivering a drug package. It's much more important than that, because there's constant advice, there's constant assistance. With a child, certainly the parents or carers, but with any end of life, the carers are the one constant. And so there's a lot of knowledge and vision that they have, which is valuable to the palliative care team, and vice versa. So it's really good when you can actually work as a gentle team together.